Woo! It has begun. I hope you guys are ready for what's coming today.
Oh, yes. Get your hopes up. Get excited. That's one of the main ingredients to the recipe of success.
Yes.
Especially uncommon success is high hopes, high expectation, high energy.
Yes.
And so you all are in for a treat. We are super excited to bring you the money man. Hey, who wants access to money? We got a man who's got access. He does private money lending nationwide. So, somebody say OPM. Let's get engaged. Let's get going. Let's get flowing in the chat. I want to hear OPM for other people's money. I want to hear show me the money. I want to see it. Somebody drop it. Okay, Cindy, I see you. We see you. Who we got? Who's with us? Who's paying attention? Because what I've learned is the more we pay attention in life, the more we get paid. Somebody needs to repeat that. The more we learn how to pay attention to the things that we're supposed to, the things that matter most, the things that move the needle in your life and your finances, your health, your relationships, right. Not paying attention to all the distractions, which we've all done a great job of, right? Let's get worse at that. Let's get better at paying attention to the things that pay. Somebody needs, see, I'm already wound up. I'm already excited. I need to know who's excited with us up in here because the fun thing about these virtual world groups is we have the power of the button push. Like if we think you're conking out or sleeping or not paying attention or not meeting our excitement that we're given, that we're receiving, we can just push that button, exit out of the group, right?
But we won't.
We probably won't do that. But we encourage you to.
He may start, but I'll move his hand.
Yeah, veto power right here. Veto power. For those of you who, when Doug has entered the building, the money man, so we're going to bring him in a minute. There he is. And before we do introduce Doug to you guys, gals, you amazing people of the world, you're in for a treat. As I said, he is the money man. He's got access to all the money you can need and more. But here's what's more important than that. Most people think it's about the money. It's not. He's the money man, but he's more than the money man. And that's what I love about just the short time that we've gotten to know Doug. We recently met in the last couple months and we've been so what do we preach and teach all the time? Connect, cultivate, collaborate, right? You got to first connect, put yourself out there. You all are here today. Don't just be bystanders, don't just be spectators, be participators. Get active in the chat. You never know who you're going to connect with. Of course, Doug, we're going to get you all connected to Doug, get you connected to all the money you could ever need to fund your deals, fund what's going on and sourcing properties and all of that we help you with. And that's great. But realize something that we've learned throughout time is you never know who you are in the presence of. Not just the speakers on stage. A lot of times people miss it. They think, oh man, if I could just meet so-and-so on stage, if I could just get close proximity, if I could just get, excuse me, connected to so-and-so. And it's a deception, all right? Because what happens is we've experienced big multiplication, big abundant things and deals and partnerships and all kind of different things from meeting people that were sitting next to us in a virtual event, in a community like this, Kingdom Wealth through real estate. And so be present, pay attention. Those who pay attention the most get paid the most. I mean, that's just literally. And so we're going to pay attention. We've got our notes out, even though I've already taken a lot of notes from the things I've learned from Doug already. But I'm going to be taking notes. So excited for what that bring. And so definitely pay attention. Definitely be present. Clear out all distractions. Turn your ringer off. Turn your phone upside down. All right. But also engage. And I love what Doug said, and we'll go ahead and encourage it right now. If possible, if you're willing and able and available, definitely be on camera. Yeah. And matter of fact, we want to say hello to those and honor those who already are showing up live and on camera. Yes. All right, we got, baby, we'll go ahead and say hi to everybody by name real quick, run through on everybody on camera. Then we'll get rocking with Doug. He's going to blow us away with some great info.
We got Steven here with us, and Sandra, and Joanne, and Amy. Hey, Bruce, and Gigi. I love your energy. And let's see who else is on camera.
All right, look at that. You all, the few leading by example. Come on and get
on.
That's right. You're at work, can't, whatever, in the restroom, we understand. Like, that's fine. But if you can choose to, right? Because Doug, he's nodding. He's one of the things he's big on. We're big on is not just being present, but there's no growth in the comfort zone. There's no in the growth zone. There's no growth in the comfort zone. So if you want to grow the financial flow in your life, which you should for your family, your future, other people, all those things, right? That's why you're here. You wouldn't be here investing time. Maybe it is a little uncomfortable to get on camera, maybe whatever, but we're just letting you know that's one of the key necessities, because one of the big things Doug's going to teach on today is relationships. We all hear us talk about it all the time. Riches flow through what? Relationships. Riches flow through relationships, but we have to put ourselves out there. We got to go show up at the local RIA networking groups. That's where we met Doug. Right. That's where we met Doug recently, within the last couple months, at a local RIA networking group. Did Doug just show up at the group and learn and take notes and leave? And did I? No. After the meeting, we hung around, went up to each other proactively, said, hey, I'd love to connect. Let's exchange info. Let's do coffee. Let's meet. Let's talk. And then we cultivated conversation, and here we are today. So let me read his bio real quick, introduce him. Let Doug come on and just drop some fire. And we'll get rocking and rolling. So, Doug, thank you so much for being here with us, man. I mean, this guy, multiple companies in multiple states, got lots of things going on, and he chose to carve out some time to come invest into you guys and gals with some amazing keys that can literally accelerate you from where you're at to where you want to be quickly and efficiently. That should get you excited if you're not excited already. If you are excited, it should go to a new level. So let's go. Douglas Beck. All right. He's an entrepreneur, investor, consultant, coach, strategist, and speaker. Now, he's a life coach as well. And he's passionate about helping aspiring entrepreneurs. And after working in corporate IT and procurement for several years, Douglas made the bold decision to give up his 9-to-5 career for the freedom of entrepreneurship. Though challenging, Doug has learned a great deal on his journey, and he enjoys the life he has built for his family. As an expert real estate investor, Douglas has closed hundreds of transactions on properties across the country. He has joint ventured with other real estate professionals and coached hundreds of clients on starting and growing a successful real estate investing business. At a deeper level, Douglas is passionate about helping people live fuller lives.
Yes.
Through life coaching, he helps people who feel stuck, overwhelmed, disconnected, or burnout in their current careers to find peace and clarity. As a consultant, he helps leaders strategize on all areas of their professional lives and get the results that will elevate their business or career. And so, baby, anything you want to say before we let Doug take away?
Well, I know that we have shared with you many times through our different teachings that in order for you to change your life, you have to change your life. You have to change what you're thinking about, what you think about, you bring about. You have to change your perspective. And so I just encourage you to let go of all limiting beliefs that you may not even realize that you're holding. And as Doug is speaking, he's going to be sharing some things with you probably that you haven't heard before, and that maybe even challenge the beliefs that you've held. But the thing is, like, you really want to listen to people who are where you want to be in life, or who are further along in life than you are. So just take off all the restraints, anything that you have been thinking that has been limiting you, and just get ready for some explosion, because literally one thing that he shares today could absolutely change your life if you believe it, if you agree with it, you receive it, and you take action on it.
Baby, that's so powerful. Doug, welcome. Thank you for being here, man. I know the folks are super pumped that are on here live, and many that will catch the replay as well. So take it away. Kick us off. Who are you, man? What you been about? Your story. What do you want to say? Come on, let's go.
David and Katie Marie, I appreciate it so much. You know, I'm so grateful. I can't put into words. When you were talking about my bio, I guess I haven't really heard too many people, frankly, read it out like that and read it and take the time to be deliberate. And man, I'm humbled and I'm privileged and I'm honored to be here with all you. And I hope that somebody, hopefully many of you and all of you, can take some nuggets from today and learn something and take it forward. And just all the people in my life that have helped me get to where I'm at, you know, I give gratitude to them, and I give gratitude to you guys being here, you know, on a Thursday, beautiful Thursday afternoon here in Sarasota, Florida. That's where David and I met, and in Sarasota, RIA. So great. You know, we'll talk about that as well today. And then after you read my bio, my oldest son comes out and hands me a little peanut butter sandwich. He feels bad. Daddy might be a little hungry. So that was just like, I got a little choked up. I'm not going to lie. So, ooh, man, let's get this going. So a little bit about me. So again, I'm going to encourage everybody to please come on video if you can. And that just makes me feel a little bit more engaged with you all. And I can read your nonverbals. That's how we communicate in this world. I talked about this in one of my recent talks with, I don't know if it was a David's group or if it was at a different group, but I think COVID has not, it's obviously, my sympathies and empathies go with anyone that's been affected directly or indirectly. But at the same time, I'm not sure that it's the illness that's really affected us the most. I think the fabric of the human condition and how we communicate as people has really been the biggest impact in a negative way for us that we had to deal with now. And, it's a blessing, and it's awesome we can connect virtually like this all across the country. At the same time, without really having that human component the way that it used to be before COVID, and people just being disrupted in such a negative way, I feel like that's really been the biggest impact and really detriment to our society. So video is the next best thing than being in person together. So please, heed the wisdom here about being connected and really getting the power of feeling connected to each other. That's the part that we need to get more of in this world that we live in today. So with that being said, man, my bio kind of covered a lot of it, I guess, but to give you a little more specific. So I started off, before real estate investing in corporate America. I worked at Johnson & Johnson for almost 10 years. I'm a corporate IT and procurement guy. So worked in different types of technology roles, helping the company grow their impact in technology. There was a shared service within Johnson & Johnson that helped out all the different companies. If you don't know, Johnson & Johnson is a family of companies. If you look up more information about that company. And so essentially there was like 250 different companies that made up the J&J sort of umbrella of companies. And so my responsibility was working within the IT sort of shared service across all those companies, helping support the company globally with all the IT things that they needed to do across all those different businesses and 1,000 different sites all across the world. So I wasn't the only guy, don't get me wrong. There was thousands and thousands of people there, but I was part of that community of people that did IT work. And so essentially that's how I started, and then essentially went into procurement. Procurement, if you don't know, is really just basically buying stuff. So we're talking about real estate. I think you're trying to buy real estate, right? You might buy and sell real estate. And so procurement is really the concepts of how do I properly buy to optimize the price that I'm paying, the terms that I'm getting, all that kind of stuff. And so I was part of a procurement team for IT, in fact. And so we would basically buy and essentially source services for IT. So suppliers like Microsoft or technology companies like IBM or HP, those kind of companies that provided people that did certain specialized type of IT consulting and IT services. And also, hardware, software, networking, all that kind of stuff. But it really, the function was interesting because procurement taught me a lot about contracts also. It taught me a lot about the concepts of business and negotiation, and being in front on a negotiation table with sometimes dozens and dozens of people negotiating a deal that, might be millions or tens of millions of dollars, or even in some one case, it was a $500 million deal that we had to negotiate with 70 different people from our side. And then there was a number of suppliers that were bidding on that business. And so effectively those kind of situations, and then I took that into consideration as I started looking at real estate. I kind of fell into real estate investing by accident, which I'll talk about, but essentially being around that environment of procurement. So anyone here who's in IT or procurement, I can totally relate to some of the things you might be facing every day. And I'd love to have a conversation about that sometime. But at the end of the day, the blend of those two things has helped me in a couple of different ways that I want to share with you all tonight. And obviously answer any questions. I like to be interactive whenever I can be. So if you guys have any questions, put it in the chat, bring it to David, however you do it. Essentially, my background is technology, process, and procurement. Those are the three things effectively that I focus on before real estate investing. And so that's given me the ability to take those experiences. And this is what I encourage you all to do. If you're in real estate and trying to grow that business in real estate investing and create an actual business out of it, business kind of boils down to, systems and technology and people, basically. Those are the kind of parts of business in general. So thank God, I had the opportunity to work in corporate America, be in a big company, learn a bunch, meet a lot of great people, get the experience. Frankly, we made a lot of mistakes, but it was at someone else's expense, frankly. And I learned I was able to grow and take, focus on things that I wouldn't have otherwise done on my own. So that kind of teed me up, right? God had a plan for me, I think, in that sense. I know he has a plan, but in that sense, it didn't make sense when I was in it. But I realized quickly that it was part of my plan, right? We don't always understand it when you're in it, but when you look back, you say, wow, that's pretty cool. So I laid the foundation with technology. Our business is very technology centric. So we use a lot of different systems. We use email marketing systems. We use websites, obviously. We use different follow-up sequences and autoresponders and kinds of stuff that is really not that crazy and not that complicated, but it's actually pretty cool how it works. And then obviously the process that we follow for what we do is also regimented, and that's part of my process background. I'm actually Lean Six Sigma certified. which basically just means that we try to remove waste and improve basically the process to run smoother by reducing variation. So it's an engineering kind of concept. So all that just basically means that I'm here to help you guys, not just with real estate investing, but if you have a question on technology or you have something on process in your business, I'd love to take those questions as well. And then essentially, that kind of led into where I got into real estate investing. I was looking for a side hustle basically. And essentially because I was making good money, right? I was doing well. I had a small family. My wife and I had at the time when I left J&J, I think we had 2 children, essentially. And I was looking for more income because I didn't want my wife to have to work. I also wanted to have my own time to be able to step out and do what I wanted to do on my own without having to be bound to an office and I'm sitting right now on my patio outside my house with the pool in front of me, listen to the water, hit the water. I mean, this is like Zen, right? Being able to work all day outside. I mean, everyone that's in corporate that has that flexibility, you've got a real blessing, whether you know it or not. So I'm sure that folks here, I would guess some or many of you are probably working on another job in addition to what you're doing on real estate investing. So in fact, if you could do me a favor and put into the chat, if it's not too much to ask, just kind of what you currently do, a little bit about, what your function is, just give me an idea of what kind of real estate investing you are focusing on. Anything you want to share about that would be cool to read through and just kind of see how we can correspond and kind of correlate and collaborate like David was saying. But effectively, I think, that was my motivation. And so it led me down the path of exploring other side hustles. So first, I started off with technology stuff, like building websites, doing marketing stuff with small businesses. I helped an attorney's office grow their technology base on a small little network that they needed, things like that. But it really wasn't creating any sort of significant income. So I started looking into other ways of making money. I kind of accidentally fell into network marketing. I don't know if anyone else can relate to network marketing at all, if you've ever done network marketing, but I was like this at first. Like initially, I was like, yeah, it's not for me, this and that. But I looked into a couple of different things. And this one, it was actually interesting. It was around energy and stuff. I'm not going to go into it, but the point is, it taught me a lot about business and sales, actually being a part of that. But it didn't create enough income for me, frankly. I mean, I made like thousands of dollars, right? It wasn't like I was making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. And I didn't think I could ever get to that point realistically, just because of what it took to get that company. It's really a lot about finding more people to help you do what you're doing. And it just wasn't for me. So I did that, but that actually was also a blessing because it taught me a lot about what I didn't know about sales. It got me to speak in front of audiences. I did build out a team with that. Fun fact, I had like 75 people that were underneath me in that company. So I was a leader of sorts, but still being a leader, like quote unquote, wasn't really anything significant to show for it, unfortunately. So it came down to, dollars and cents. It wasn't making it happen. So it wasn't enough to leave my 6-figure income and walk away from J&J. But coincidentally, I was talking to my one buddy who was not in network marketing, and I was telling him about my opportunity, right? Fun fact again, I don't think even David knows this probably yet, but I told him about the thing, and he's like, man, that's cool. He wasn't disrespectful. He's like, that's not for me though. He's like, I'm already doing enough with this other thing with affiliate marketing for real estate stuff. And this is making me like $30,000 a month and this and that. And he's like, residual income, this and that. I'm like, all right, well, how can I participate? He's like, well, it's really my own business. I don't really need any help. I'm like, okay. But I started doing research about real estate. Actually, REI was the first term I searched, REI, right? I don't know if you guys ever had these things. You're like, oh, what's that mean? Like, what's crypto about? What the hell is crypto? You look it up and you start reading stuff. I've landed on this other gentleman's, page on Facebook about real estate investing after I found out. I went down his little funnel and I found out that, maybe I didn't know much about anything with real estate because he was talking about stuff with signing contracts and wholesale flips and all kinds of crazy stuff I had never heard of. I'm like, man, this is really interesting stuff. I better look into this. And long story short, I ended up going into like a year-long mentorship program with that gentleman about 8 years ago at this point. And I got my footings in wholesaling. So I learned how to find deals. I learned how to analyze deals, learned how to negotiate, talk to sellers, all that stuff. I learned about marketing and what did work, what didn't work. Most of it didn't work, honestly, for me. Maybe you guys are different. I don't know. But when I do direct mail, even to this day, it's not really, I'm getting crickets, generally speaking. I have a partner right now in New Jersey that's actually, he's sponsoring the direct mail, and my company is taking on the leads that are coming in and kind of, we say he's got the materials and I got the labor basically. So like I got the people and staff doing the work, including myself. And I'm telling you, we put out probably 4,000 pieces of mail. We got a handful of phone calls. I mean, people don't want to talk to people about selling their house unless they're really motivated right now. They're talking to real estate agents, generally speaking. So we're going to get into some of that as well. But fundamentally, it took me about 6 months to get my first deal going. And it was after a lot of trial and tribulation, taking calls before work, on the way to work, in the office, stepping away from meetings, hiding in conference rooms. I could tell you stories upon stories. I have notepads still to this day. I kept my binders and all these things that were like fancy spreadsheets that I thought I needed to figure out if deals made sense, but I didn't even know what I was doing yet. And anyway, it kind of led me down this path of just exploring and growing and learning. And I was just as receptive as I could be to learn about what I didn't know. And I made a lot of mistakes, but it got me to the point where I finally closed my first deal. And I think I shared that story with David's group the other day, another community of folks that he's working with. So I can share that today again if you'd like me to. I don't know if that helps to kind of start my foundational kind of where I started from, how I got here, if you would, at a high level. And then if you have any particular questions, David, about where you want me to go next with the conversation.
Yeah, that'll be great, because one of the big points from your conversation the other day was just about where you showed, I don't know if you have them with you, but how you showed the business cards and went into the connection of a person to a person, and you're just the matchmaker. Because if people can grab a hold of that one thing on a practical, simple level, like, it changes everything. It's what has multiplied all of our success and businesses and real estate and everything, just like it has for you. And so definitely hit on that. And then we'll hit on the talking points from your sheet about the benefits of taking the leap from corporate employee to entrepreneur, and charting your own course, mindset shifts that are necessary to go from where you're at to where you want to be in full financial freedom and overflow, leveraging real estate and relationships. And then scaling, anything you want to talk about, scaling using tech systems and outsourcing, and the power of joint venturing. So those would be like the main points that I would ask you to hit on after. But yeah, share that deal, share anything that's on your heart or mind that you want to provide a value. But there's a lot of value in that first deal from what you learned, and what everyone here can take away and learn, whether they've already acquired their first deal or not.
So perfect. That's awesome. So I would encourage anyone who has the capacity. I know it's, in my time zone, it's 4:22 or so. I got to get my thing plugged up. Hold on one second. I got to get my laptop before it dies on me. Hold on. I would encourage you guys, though, anybody who's stationary and in front of a place that you can sit down or write, or you can at least, maybe think about this if you're not able to write it down. I'm going to take you through a quick little exercise that I would say, and I want you to take inventory of a couple of things. So I want you to think about who you know already. Obviously, some people here, David and his wife, a little bit about me now. You might know some other people in this community and you're connected with them. But who do you really know, though? Like, who do you actually know at a level that's deep enough to say, if I called this person, we could have a 10, 20-minute, hour-long conversation and have productive discussion? If you think about that, or you write it down and who the people are, and if you only have like a couple people, that's fine, no big deal, no judgment here. But the thing is, the more people that you know at that level, the more powerful you can be with what you're trying to accomplish. I guarantee it. It's not even without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. And it goes back to the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And what I'm getting at is, this is a segue into the story of how I did my first wholesale flip. Because when I first started, I had very little time during the daytime. And I think I shared this with David's group the other day. So I was only able to do stuff in between meetings. I wasn't able to really do a whole lot of stuff. It was maybe a couple hours a day. And then evenings, I would try to put time in. But I had a family. I still have a family. So I'm trying to spend time with my family when after work. I don't want to be just working. You have to sacrifice. I get it. But you got to have some level of balance, right? You got to have some level of integrated life where you're not just like working your butt off and all you're doing is just work. You got to have something to enjoy and something to look forward to besides that. So for me, what I realized was the evenings, I could trade one evening a week or two evenings a week to go and meet up with people at networking events. And I looked at the networking event as a way to, yes, network, but also really try to find the people that I needed the most that I didn't have already. So the concept of building out a power team was something that one of my mentors shared with me. So like finding my real estate agent, finding a contractor, finding an attorney, a CPA, all those kind of things, checking those boxes. Like, you definitely need that. You need the power team for sure. However, what you also need is you need people that have other things that you don't have or that you wish you had. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about like things like, for example, deals. If you're looking, I see some people putting in, they're looking to fix and flip. They're looking to buy and hold. I see somebody's doing both of them. So what you need is inventory, right? And so inventory doesn't just fall from the sky. Realistically, I'm not trying to be sarcastic here. I'm just being real. You got to find the inventory, and you can find the inventory on your own. You could do your own marketing, as we know, but there's different processes and things to do that. It costs money and takes time as well. Or you could build relationships with people that have actual inventory. Like today, for example, I'm pretty excited. This guy sounds pretty interesting to me. He says he has access to inventory all across different markets. He sounds like he's got his stuff together. You never know. Some people talk a big talk, but they don't walk the walk when it comes to properties and what they have and stuff. But he tells me he's got, for example, David and I didn't even talk about it yet. He says he has an 8-unit in Sarasota. He's selling for like 800 grand. I'm like, that's super cheap for an 8-unit. And he's telling me it's 11.5% cap. I don't know much about what it is and what it isn't, but to me, just that initial conversation is like, I'm interested, because if I'm over 10% cap in a market like Sarasota, unless it's really not in the best section, no disrespect to people that live there, but it might not be the best section. It might be a tougher section, depending on the rents and stuff. But the point is, I connect with this guy, And he's got what I want. I want deals. I mean, for me, I want deals that I can fund for other people because I'm a lender. I'm in the lending space, but I also want deals that I can buy for myself. And I want to buy rentals, and I want to buy good, profitable fix and flips, and maybe mostly looking into development opportunities, small development opportunities. So point is, like, I connected with the guy, but I didn't just have like a conversation. I was just like, fluffy and, hey, how you doing? What's your name? This and that. And then that's it. I wanted to drive deeper. So I want to put him first though, right? So the tip I would give you here is always lead with value creation when you're talking to people. How do I give the most value? How do I let them know that I'm here to provide value in some capacity? It's like the biblical verse says, you give and you shall receive, essentially, right? However that boils down for you and how you read that verse. So it's like, essentially, if I lead with the giving concept, the mindset of providing for someone else, then naturally they feel sometimes an obligation, right? Whether it's good people probably feel an obligation to reciprocate that in some capacity. Good people typically will. And the bad people, frankly, I don't know if I want to do business with them or be friends with them necessarily. If I give first, the right people will come back and probably give to me in some capacity. So that's the concept of collaboration and sort of creating a community of sorts. And so I said to this gentleman, well, tell me more about like how I can, what are you looking for? Like, what do you need? Because I want to know what you have, but I also want to know what you need. And he said, I need buyers. I need people that can take these deals down and so on and so forth. And he gave me this whole thing. I said, okay, that's great. And I thought about how does that layer again? So when you think about who you know, think about who you know that needs something, right? That actually, but the thing is, try to think about who you know that needs something that you can provide, but also has something to provide back to you. So when you think about your network now, and if you have very few people, that's okay again. But what your goal is to add as many people to that list that need something that you could provide. For example, a real estate agent. I saw someone say they're a real estate agent. Real estate agents have a lot of resources, right? And whether you just have your license and you just kind of hang it up and that's no big deal, no problem. But if you actually use your license, you could analyze properties with comps. You could do basic deal analysis if you know how numbers work. You could source deals for people. You could find opportunities. You could tell people about off market coming soon kind of stuff. And so a buyer, for example, or someone who you might see as a quote unquote competitor, if you're a real estate agent, for example, and this is going to go into my story, exactly my story. If you're a competitor, quote unquote, another agent, or you have a buyer who you're also a buyer, you're an agent and also a buyer. And let's say you look at a buyer as a competitor in your same market, like, oh, this is Bob and this is Mary, and they're both in the same market. One's an agent and a buyer, the other one's just a buyer. Well, if let's say Bob is the buyer and the agent and Mary's just the buyer, Bob might say, well, I'm an agent and a buyer. I'm just going to kind of hold on to everything I get and not talk to Mary about it because I want to buy that stuff. For example, what's better, in my opinion, is to see Bob as the agent. He should say, hey, Mary, I know you're also buying like me. How can we find a way to collaborate where we both can make money and we both could do business together? Or if you're a wholesale real estate investor, where you're flipping contracts, flipping deals, right? You could do the same thing. I'm going to tell my story in a second about that. I will even tell you if you're a fix and flip investor or you're a buy and hold investor, like look at syndications. I don't know if you guys know much about apartment syndications, but literally they're a team of people. Typically, there's general partners. There's typically 4 to 6 people, what I've seen, and the ones that I've been a part of, 4 to 6 partners, general partners that participate in a syndication. Well, if these deals are tens of millions of dollars and you want to eventually get to that point, maybe you're a buy and hold investor trying to do syndication. Don't you think you should take notes from the people that are doing these massive deals that you're not doing it by yourself typically? And that's the concept of collaboration. So I started thinking about all this. I'm like, I could sit here and struggle and do marketing and spend a bunch of money and take all these calls and try to sift and sort through all these different things. Or I could say, who do I know? I did the same exact thing I just told you guys to do, right? After months of networking with people, I had this stack of like 500 business cards. I did this the other day just to show you guys, like, to prove, case in point, like this is my stack of cards in my bag right now. Okay. Like it's pretty significant. I have more in another bag thing, but it's not about how many really, it's about the quality of these people. So I said, like this lady, for example, is actually a builder and a developer. I need to follow up with this lady. She was from the Sarasota area also. This gentleman is also actually, this guy's the guy that presented by Airbnb recently. I don't know if David was at that one or not, but this guy's another follow-up for me. I could probably fund his deals. Like these people are people, right? But they're also valuable resources for me, not just to like make money from, but make money with somehow. So for example, the lady one is somebody that's doing building and development. I can lend her capital and her company capital, but when I lend her capital to do her deals, I make money from lending capital. The other person is a buy and hold Airbnb guy. Well, I want to start buying and holding Airbnbs also. I need to learn from this guy. So how can I help him? Well, I can lend him money, or I can invest in his deal, or I can source deals for him. And when I do a couple of those, maybe he might say, hey, Doug, you know what? I like working with you. Let's find a way to do a deal together. Or maybe I don't want to do this one, but you might like it, etc. So I did that. I took these cards that I had, about 500 cards I put into a system when I first started in the business. And at this point, we're thousands and thousands of people. But the point is, I did that in the first 6 months. I collected those cards. That was my win, right? That's what I realized. I'm like, I'm a networker. I can build relationships. And that's pretty much what I know to do right now, besides trying to figure out how to do this thing. So I don't know what I'm talking about yet. I'm trying to figure out how to analyze deals. I was getting some coaching and guidance from my mentors, but it wasn't enough to really make it real for me because I hadn't done a deal yet. Until you do a deal, you don't really know what it's like. I'm telling you guys, I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but you got to close a transaction and you start realizing, okay, this is how it works, But I said, who do I know that has what I want? Well, I'm trying to find sellers. I'm trying to find deals. Well, let's see who would have deals besides me. Obviously, I can't do it. Well, there's got to be other people that are wholesalers that say they have a deal, right? There's a wholesaler. So in that same example, there's a guy named John who's still in New Jersey. He's done a bunch of deals. He's been in the business like 20 years. Real cool guy. Very creative guy. He's an artist. He's a musician. Like he's a cool dude. So John is this guy right here, we'll say, right? And John's on this side, and he's my source for deals. And he's got plenty of deals coming because he's got all the people that he already knows that brings him stuff that he knows how to analyze. And he also gets deals from sellers directly, off market, REO, all that stuff. And that's what I found out from talking to John for about 2 hours one time, right? Like that's what we did. Talked about it. Hey, John, tell me more about what you do. Let me learn. I want to do this too. How can I work together with you? How can I help you? And then we got over here, we got, let's say, Rich, right? And Rich doesn't source deals. Rich is just a buyer. And then there's me. And I'm in the middle, but these two people don't know each other unless I introduce them to each other. And I may not want to do that right away. I don't want to do that right away. I want to set myself right in between the two of them. And this is a wholesale strategy I use, just joint venture, co-wholesale, whatever you want to call it. And we've done a couple hundred of these in New Jersey and successfully done them and made lots of money doing it. So I know it works. So you have John over here that has a deal. John had a deal in Hillside, New Jersey. It was about $100,000, whatever, 120,000, I think. And then this other guy, Rich, was on my list. Now, the way it worked was like this. And is this cool, David? Is this what you want me to talk about? I want to make sure we're on the same page, man. I think we're good.
Yeah, this is so powerful, you all. Like, this is a real life example, just proof positive of the principles and processes that Doug's done hundreds of times. But this was on his first one. So think about this. A lot of you all probably feel this way like Doug was at this point in his life. Like, I sometimes it feels overwhelming or foreign that you all are in here learning and applying, hopefully acting on what you're learning. But just know, welcome to the club. Like, be comforted to know that when you feel overwhelmed or you feel insecure or intimidated when you're in a room of investors or go to RIA or networking, like that's all of us. That's every single one in that room. That's where they started, no matter where they're at right now. And a lot of those people that are further down the path want to help beginners, but it's really what Doug is saying is the power, the way that happens in the mechanism of really the magic and miraculousness of it is the win-win. We always talk about creating win-win arrangements. When you just seek to serve and you seek to be a solution specialist, what does Zig Ziglar say? If you just focus on one thing, instead of us trying to focus on all these things, just focus on the one thing that Doug's really hammering home. And this is his first deal, you all. He went on to duplicate, refine, repeat, reflect on it, refine. That's the process. So even if you've never acquired your first deal yet, it could be tomorrow. If you do exactly what Doug is saying in terms of connecting and putting yourself out there, you don't have to know. You actually don't even need to know the majority of what's going on, as Doug's going to share in this story. The majority of deals that he's done, he never even saw the property, you all never even went there. So yeah, definitely add in that part, because that's super powerful what you shared about how you leverage somebody else's. We talk about this all the time. Leverage everything, you all. Leverage other people's time, talent, abilities, knowledge, insights, resources, networks. That's what Doug is really, he's saying, but he's breaking it down to a practical example on this first deal that led to just rinse, repeat to millions of dollars, all these properties, all these companies, everything he's doing is the same process. It works in everything because it's a people business. Real estate is the vehicle, it's the product, it's the service, but really you are your business. It's you. So are you showing up? Are you investing yourself into other people, into relationships, not just in a randomized way, grabbing cards like most people do? Why do most people not become financially free and abundantly wealthy? Because they think they're networking. It's not. It's what Doug's talking about. Networking with clarity and with consistency and efficiency, with a clear purpose of what we're doing, not collecting cards and call people just randomized. It's so everything he's about to go into in the rest of this story is super golden, because it's literally the keys that you can take. It's the seed that you can plant, the actions that you can take that will yield similar results and beyond, because it's what, and we know this. This isn't opinion or concept or theory or theology or anything. This is experiential knowledge. This is what we know intimately, because it's what we live and we do, and that what generates the results. So yeah, carry out the rest of that story.
Yeah, man.
Because you're going to find out, this should encourage you massively. What he did to generate his first deal wasn't just the aha, like, man, I can do this. Because once you do that first deal, like you said, what it's going to do for you mentally, emotionally, financially, everything is going to be maybe the biggest deal you ever do is your first deal, even though it might be the smallest financially. It's really the biggest mentally because of what it does. You've proven to yourself, I can do this. It doesn't matter the size of the deal. It's irrelevant, and so carry out that example, because there's a lot of takeaways for these folks to take that can make them millions of dollars, literally.
Oh my goodness.
We are living proof.
No BS. Yeah, you're right.
And we're going to get into also today, before we wrap up, how you all can access money Doug has available for you on the private lending side. So that should excite you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. So to take it forward, so the foundation to this, right? To lay the foundation is you have to have people to talk to, which comes from networking, and that ideally comes from in-person networking, right? And I don't know if this group knows about the event that these guys got coming up. I want to do a quick kudos again for that, and David can talk about it later. There's an exciting event that they got coming up. There's always stuff they got going on, but if you can get to anything in person, you got to be there. Anything that's going to help you grow and become better at what you're doing, what you're trying to create, then get there, right? So fact is, he can talk about that later. I don't know to what extent he wants to get into that. So the point is, if you have a RIA by you, that's the first place you got to do. So go to meetup.com and find the closest RIA, Real Estate Investment Association. Meetup.com is available for free. Facebook has got a number of groups as well. You can look up Real Estate Investment Association or Real Estate Investor Groups that meet up in person. That's number one. I did that. I meant to like probably 15, 20, maybe 30 before I had this deal kind of take place. Okay. In terms of number of meetings, not the different ones, but there was like a few of them that I went to. And so on top of that, I also did some internet stuff. So I found people on like Bigger Pockets. I found people on different websites, and I was just connecting with them and messaging them and asking them. So that's how I met John. That's how I met Rich and all these other people in my network. So, but the foundation is important. So lay that foundation, make the connection, then have a conversation. From the conversation, you need to take it into building a relationship, right? So going further than just a conversation, having multiple conversations about things that actually matter to the other person and also yourself. And so in this case, I had that conversation with John. I knew Rich a little bit, but I didn't have as much of a conversation with Rich. He just responded. And this is the thing. One of my mentors, actually, a lot of people said this, and it was probably multiple at the company that said, and everybody in the industry says this too, like when you have a great deal, people will find you kind of thing, right? And I thought that was just like hyperbole, and that wasn't true. So I was like skeptical about it because I didn't see a deal yet. I didn't know what it was like. But I tell you, when I sent out the message, which I basically got John's email, right? This is what I literally did, tactically speaking. You could get somebody else's email with their permission. Very important. Don't just take their email and send it out to everybody you know, or put it on Facebook. You're going to get in trouble. You can get in big trouble for that, actually. So you have to have a contract in place on the property. At least in the state that I operated in, that's how it works. You have to have equitable interest or a contract on the property. You have to own the property potentially, depending on where your market is. So it's situational based, but in my market, I knew what I had to do. I got a contract, an option contract. And I said to John, hey, John, I got like 500 people that potentially want to buy deals like this in New Jersey. And I don't know about your network, but I'd love to layer what you have into my network and see if there's some way we can make money together. Does that work for you? Would you mind? And I talk at a business level first, right? Business first, and then we get to legal and all other stuff, and tactical execution. So agreement on business level. John said, hey, Doug, you know what? I don't see a problem with that. He's like, well, is he going to make me not be able to sell to somebody else that I know? No, it's not going to, John. It's going to be a non-exclusive agreement. Okay. How long do you need to have to do this? I said, maybe a week or two max, just to get everything lined up. Give me a chance to get some runway of time to basically market this thing out to the people, build, whatever. No problem. Okay, cool. I'm not talking about years or months. It's just a couple of weeks. Okay, great. Hey, what about, what numbers are we looking at? I said, well, you're marketing at this number. I can either put a fee on top and try to build that fee into the deal so you don't take anything away from you, or you just tell me the price you need to be at. Is if I'm the buyer, what's the lowest you would take? Literally, John, what's the lowest you would take and be okay with it? And I think he said 110, and it was at 120 he was marketing. So he's trying, he wasn't necessarily he was going to make 20 grand and they get it for 100 grand. It was really simple numbers. It was like 20 grand and he was going to make 10 grand. And so I said, well, what if I just put it out for 120? And then whatever we make, I keep everything over 110. So if it gets 115, I get 5. If it's 110, I guess we'll negotiate something. And that's where it actually led down to. So once I actually put it out to my list, I put an email together. I took what he had already sent me, this really crappy looking house, and like very little information, and it just like a scope of work description and like a high level estimate of repairs and whatever. And he didn't have any numbers on ARV, whatever. And I just took that information and I put on my marketing hat and I said, let me make this look prettier and let me make it sound better. Okay. And then I said, let me make the picture a little bit brighter. This is literally what I did. go into like photo editor or whatever, make it brighten up a little bit. It's a very dark picture, crappy looking, like one of those like, yellowish looking hues, like a filter that people put up to look cool, like sepia or whatever it is. And then like this really, crappy description. All due respect to John, he's a great guy. I think he'll understand. He's not a tech guy. That's the thing. I found somebody who didn't have what I have, which is the technology and marketing concepts. Okay. And I said, let me make this look pretty. So I put in some more words. I put some more bullets. I made it simple to understand. I started thinking like, if I'm the one buying this property, what would I want to hear and read about if I got this email? What's going to make me want to potentially say I'm interested? Not saying I want to say stuff that they want to hear and just like, I'm not lying about it. I'm just trying to understand the concept of persuasion and understand what people want to hear, what's attractive to them. So I said, well, I want to talk about the numbers. Number one, I want to talk about the opportunity, how long it might take to do this. I want to talk about, maybe, what the risks are, whatever it is. I forget all the different things. Like that one, I went a little overboard because I was trying to earn my like first deal here. And I really thought it through, and I put together some information about if I'm the investor, here's what I would consider doing. Right. And so I put together the email, and I then also talked to John, and I got this option contract signed. Right. And I said, it basically said, like I said, I'm getting 10K if it's 120 and he's getting it for 110. So my option to strike a price at 110 was what I agreed to pay John. If I find an investor, I have the right to first go under contract at 110, and then I'm going to sell it to my investor for more than that. And he was cool with that. Right. Great. Awesome. Now I got my business agreement, my marketing's prepared. I didn't press send yet. And I got my legal agreement, and everything's good by John. We got the approval. That's very important, by the way. I don't want anybody to think and take out of this concept, this meeting, that you should just be taking people's deals because it's not cool. It's not right. It's not legal. Number one, it's not ethical, and it's not right in good people business to just take someone's stuff and send it out to everybody else. You got to have, conversations. Unfortunately, for some of you, maybe like you may not be willing to, but you have to. You have to talk to people in some capacity, all right, or have someone else do it for you. So that was important, but I did that. And essentially, long story short, took that information, put it in that email, got John's blessing, got the thing signed up, and I sent it out to my list of 500, and I got about 20 or so responses back. And it was a mixed bag. Some people were like, what are you talking about? This deal sucks. Like, sorry, whatever. And other people were like, I'm interested, right? So I got a handful of like, I'm interested. I want to go take a look. And now the cool thing was it was a vacant property. So it had a lockbox on it. And John had the contract. He was direct. That's very important. Find someone that has a direct contract on the property and that can say, this is what it is. I've been in the property. I have pictures of the property. It's not just like an address with just nothing. That's useless pretty much. You can still do stuff with those, but they're more difficult. I don't recommend it. Try to find somebody that actually knows they're in the business and they just need a little help. John's also a fix and flip guy. So he actually fixes up houses and sells them. And that was valuable because I never did that. So I said, John, if you were to do this project, what would it be? And then we talked about it. I put that in my notes. Like I said, these are the scope of work items, more detail. This is how much it's going to cost. Da-da-da. I sounded intelligent because I was using John's information, but I was helping him bring it to the right people the right way. I hope you guys get that. And so truly an informal partnership of sorts is what it became, right? Because now John wasn't tied to my business forever. I wasn't tied to his business forever, but we worked together on this deal. And then we worked together on another 15 or 20 deals after that. And then he kind of took a break because he was doing so well. He just like, he kind of chills. Like, I don't think he does right now. He's doing much. He's just like enjoying life. So point is, I sent it out. This guy, Rich, was one of the people, and he went out to the property. He's like, I want to take a look. Let me go get inside. He was using hard money, which is fine. And he looked at the property. He's like, I think it's a great deal overall, but I think I need to be a little bit more aggressive in my pricing because I don't think it's going to work out numbers wise. And I thought it was just BS, but he kind of explained it to me. I talked to him. I asked him questions. And what I did is I basically liaised. I was a bridge between Rich and John. Rich and John never really talked. It was just Doug heard the information and relayed it back to John, basically, or vice versa. And after all said and done, we were able to negotiate a price. We landed like 110, I think. And so John had it for 100. It's just that my option contract was 110. So we had to negotiate a little bit. Now you get into some of the negotiation concepts. Well, how do I do that? Well, it's simple, relatively speaking. You got to talk to the person that you're working with and say, look, I want to make some money. And you're doing this throughout the process, but you're having conversations and you're saying, I want to make money with you. Like we talked about, I can't obviously make anything. What do you think is fair? And John saw my passion, my desire. And he's a good dude. Like he actually cares about people. He's not just like, just trying to make money and be greedy. He actually wants to make money together and build relationships. He got it. He understood. So we agreed 50-50 minus the expenses to do the deal. We had to pay an attorney some stuff. We had to pay for this or that, like little stuff. So it ended up where I'm shortening this a little bit because I don't have that much time. I want to go through the other stuff, but I can go into the details more further when anybody has questions. But I'm just telling you, this is the fundamentals, the tactical things that matter the most of what I'm explaining. Effectively, about 2 weeks after we signed the contract, we assigned the contract, we closed that assignment contract, and we got paid the 10 grand. I walked out of the attorney's office with a $10,000 check. It was real. I was like, holy crap, I actually did it. And it was a matter of literally, guys and gals, like probably 3 to 4 hours max of my invested time. I know it sounded like a lot, but it really wasn't because I laid that foundation. See, the 6 months before this deal, I invested hundreds of hours, which is very important to mention. You have to lay that foundation, sacrifice in the beginning, create the basis, and then build from that. It's just like houses. You have to have a foundation to build on. You know, you can't just build it on sand. So that was surreal. I mean, I think my check was like $4,600 after all. Met up with John in person. I never met John until the day we closed. That's another thing I want to point out. I never walked in the house. I never looked at any pictures besides what he sent me. I never got pictures from Rich. I never actually had a realtor give me comps. The appraisal happened. There was an appraisal involved. It was like, I did very little work, honestly, for what I got paid for. And it's not to say like, look at me. I'm just telling you, it's possible to literally not go in houses, to not deal with all the nonsense and this fixing up and all that sort of stuff. But you have to have a foundation and a plan and a strategy and the right people around you that you can work with. So that's kind of in a nutshell how it went down. And then from that, like I said, I did probably 15 to 20 deals with John after that to this day. And if I can give one recommendation though, and then I'll pass it back to David to see where we want to go next year. Don't just focus on people that have wholesale deals that all they do is wholesale. This is very important because in your markets, I'm not sure. Actually, if you guys could do me a favor, just put in the state that you're in. I'm just curious to see who's here from where kind of stuff and to see if there's anybody that I might be able to see about how I can help you some other way. Put in just the 2 letters of your state, if you don't mind, just to give me an idea, or whatever you want to put in your actual, full city or whatever is fine. But the point is, John and I said never met, but the thing is, he was also a fix and flip investor. And that was very important to me because you see, he's focusing on fixing up houses. And when people get busy fixing houses, I'm right now in this moment, I have 6 houses in New Jersey worth about $6 million. They're all $1 million homes, varying between 700,000 to $1.5 million. Like that's my kind of fix and flip model right now. And we're getting rid of these houses and we're going to be doing stuff in Florida. But the point is, if somebody came to me and said, hey, Doug, I know you have like people sending you deals and I want to basically help you bring your deal to somebody else. And I have this buyer that I know is legit. And if you brought my deal to them, I would be ready to talk to them about it because I'm busy enough as it is. I don't need to like do it myself necessarily. I'd rather have someone else do it for me or with me. So John was an ideal candidate because he's a fix and flip investor. And fix and flip investors, and there's another guy in New Jersey named Ben's, same kind of thing. These guys are real. They actually understand construction. The newer investor, if I can give you one piece of powerful advice, is like, find someone who's doing more than 6 or 10 deals a year that's actually active in your market, right? And that does fix and flips, because fix and flip investors have to deal with everything to do with real estate investing, as far as I can tell. The values of the properties, the construction component, the analysis of property, potentially having to rent it if it doesn't sell or whatever the case might be. They have to deal with all the stuff with legal stuff. They have to deal with contractors, all that stuff. So they're like probably the most seasoned, I would say, in the space of understanding what it would be if you're trying to flip a wholesale deal to someone else to do fix and flip. It's like, talk to somebody who's already doing it for a living, right? So that's what John was. And he also got overflow of deals, what I was getting at. So you want to find deals, talk to people that get the deals, because John was reliably closing on transactions. So because he was reliably closing, other people were sending him more deals than he could buy. But they don't do that to wholesalers. I don't know if you guys are wholesaling anywhere, but wholesalers, like, we're kind of like the lowest end of the spectrum, the totem pole, like, yeah, whatever. Like, people that close on deals that actually take it down and end up selling them, or that buy and hold, that have portfolios, those are who people typically think about when they think about real estate investors. They don't think about wholesalers, with all due respect to anybody out there. I'm not afraid to admit that. My company wholesales deals. I know it from firsthand. So elevate yourself to a buyer's level. And then you know what I got? I got a free education from John. All the questions I asked him about his deal where we can make money. I got like an earn and learn, basically. Like, I learned at the same time earning money. So do that. Like, it's not rocket science, right? I'm not trying to make you guys feel like, oh man, the moment, but like at the end of the day, just let's not reinvent the wheel here. Find a person doing deals already, who's doing fix and flips, is going to learn the most from, or if you're trying to do buy and holds, talk to somebody who's doing buy and holds and learn from them, just like you're doing here today. But kind of don't just like, don't be just like a attachment to them, or like, kind of, just be for selfish reasons. You want to be giving and like find the gap. Like, hey, what do you need more of? Maybe he didn't even think, or she didn't think about, like, well, I get deals something all the time, but I can't do anything with them. Well, hey, what if I help you take those deals and bring them to my network of people? Because I'm out there looking at new people every day, talking to people, building relationships, and so on and so forth. You accidentally wholesale. Like, I've taken people, no joke, that have done dozens and dozens of fix and flips and have portfolios, massive portfolios. All I did is have this conversation, and I turned on deal flow. And then I bring value because I create a whole nother division of their company, basically by accident. Not like literally, I don't have to create a company. I don't need to like make it formal. Just like literally, I just pass them checks, basically. Hey, let me take care of this. You just give me the deal. I'll take care of everything else. I'll take you from a contract to closing. That's my sort of tagline at JDL Ventures in New Jersey. We take contracts to closing. And so that's what we built. We built a dispositions-based wholesale operation out of New Jersey. It's today done over 200 wholesale deals successfully. And has built up a network of thousands and thousands of people in New Jersey that are all real estate investors that we basically match make And that's another little word I'm working with, trying to figure out how to do this. But the concept of connecting the dots, connecting people together and making money together. That's the thing that we do the best, really. So I hope that helps. And I'm happy to go into anything else as far as, the next topic you want to talk about here, David.
This is just super powerful. It's literally like, it's just funny. Katie Marie always giggles when I say, I have a bachelor's degree and master's degree, of which I use neither. And I invested, years of my life and tens of thousands of dollars to get, something that really, in my mind, holds really little to no value in terms of in the real world of making money, and building the life that we desired and ultimately designed and live and all that. It's what you're saying, man. I mean, like what I spent, and I say spent versus invested tens of thousands of dollars for college education, like what you just laid out. If people really listen, rewind, take notes, and marinate, and if you all marinate and meditate on what he's saying, what I love about it, it's so simple. A third grader can execute on. This isn't, we get in our own way. That's the biggest thing. Is the biggest holdup is ourselves. We get in our own way because we overthink. Instead of just going up, sticking your hand out and saying hello and having a conversation with people, and then doors fling open and opportunities and deal flow gets turned on, like you talked about, we just talk ourselves out of just doing the simple things that anybody can do. But because we're insecure, we're nervous, or we think we might look dumb by saying something. No, just do what he's saying to do. Like, put yourself out there, have a conversation, stick your hand out, make relationships, make connections, and learn and act. But build. I mean, think about that, you all. He literally focused on doing one thing. He didn't know all this real estate stuff, but he focused on meeting people, gathering their names and emails, and gathering that data to where now when he does meet a person that has a deal, he literally clicks a button and sends that email to these people that he's put into that, and it's matchmaking over and over and over. And so I don't know what, let us know when you got to roll here, Doug, on your time. I got
like a solid 15 left. I got to pick up some food for the fam in a little bit here. So
okay, perfect.
And you got to eat your PB&J that your precious son made.
So we want to, so we want to make sure we want to hit a few questions in the final moments, but before that, and we want to make sure people know how to get a hold of you and your money.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got my flyer prep for the money side. I see some folks asking questions about that. So
okay, before we do that, one thing I want to highlight about everything Doug said, for those of you who don't know, and Doug, I don't think you know this. I don't think I've shared this with you, but one of our students, young guy, when we met him, started mentoring him, he was like 21 years old, had $100 to his name in his bank account, was serving tables, paycheck to paycheck. 2 or 3 years later, at 24 years old, he's making multiple six figures a year, living life on his own terms, his own time, his own design. But anyway, one of the deals that he did, and for those of you who don't know, I'm talking about Michael Tucker. In the guides tab in the group, you can watch one of his step-by-step teachings where literally, Doug, you'll love this. Everything Doug's talking about, Doug didn't know all these things about the deal. He focused on his one part, matchmaking, taking this information, putting it to these people, didn't even see the property, didn't even see the person. Yep. You all, same thing. Michael Tucker literally step-by-step shows you all. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Doug, Michael Tucker, 23, 24 years old, made over $75,000 in 5 hours. Yeah. On one deal in which the type of deal he had zero experience in, you all. You need to hear this. You need to hear this. We think we got to have all this experience, know all these things, know the right. No, he made over $75,000 in about 5 hours of total time. And a deal type that he had never done before, which was land. It was raw land. He actually acquired the land, subdivided it, sold the lots. He didn't do it, right? He played point. But anyway, you all can go check that out. That's one example to prove the power of the simplicity of the process that Doug is laying out. It's leverage. It's leveraging, Michael leveraged other people's time, talents, abilities, knowledge, everything, right? One other quick example. 2 weeks ago, I think it was, a lot of you all probably don't know, but we closed on a property with a student of ours. We actually partnered with one of our students, our private coaching students. We've never been to the state of New Mexico that I know of in our lives. We haven't seen the property, and we literally just closed on 40 acres, 7 beautiful log cabin style homes, which you all should come stay. It's gonna be Airbnb, we'll do retreats, whatever. But what am I saying? I'm saying they are our students. She's great with design and Airbnb, right? Hosting. We have access to, they needed funding, right? They needed funding for the deal and knowledge and strategy and other things. So they brought the deal, they brought everything they're doing with Airbnb hosting and design and all that. We brought money and our experience and knowledge and strategy. You all, can I tell you, this deal on a conservative basis, the numbers are showing it should make at least $200,000 a year profit. This is their first deal ever, you all, our students. All right. So on a conservative basis, it should generate $200,000 or more a year in profit on their very first deal, you all. This is the power of what we're talking about and the simplicity. But in your remaining time, Doug, we'll leave it up to you to say what you want to say, answer any questions you want to, and then we'll wrap up with a few key things we want to let you all know. So go ahead.
All right. Well, just a quick sort of plug, if you would, for if you guys want to chat after this, because I know we kind of running out of time here. I'm happy to have a conversation. I give 15 minutes of my time to anyone who wants to spend 15 minutes with me. And if it's beyond that, we'll talk about whatever it would look like. And I'll tell you how I can help you, or I can, if I can connect you to somebody. If you go to douglasjbeck.com, that's my personal website. The funding information is not on that site for a couple of reasons. My tech guys got to still work on it. At the same time, everything besides that is pretty much there. My companies, you can look up all my companies. We're real businesses based out of New Jersey. And you can click on all the different sites. And if you want to set up a meeting, it's right there. You click on the button, big green or blue button, I think, that says, schedule 15 minutes. So that's the first thing. Some people are asking about that in the chat. So the other thing would be, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to give you guys literally a 5-minute or less overview. And some of it might not make sense. And I'm going to talk kind of fast. And I'm going to use a lot of letters and numbers of things that you may not be familiar with. And that's okay. But there might be a good segue. And this can be about the funding side. But this might be a good segue into a conversation we have separately. If you are looking for capital, right? If you are looking for capital for a fix and flip, new construction, rental property, looking to purchase, looking to refi, looking to do a refi to rehab, which you may not be familiar with that is. If you got a deal right now that you're in, that your lender's not doing the right things, you're not getting the capital you need, the budget changed, we could refi you out of that, get you the rehab you need to finish it. I could do delayed financing where you buy a property cash or with private money. I could get you paid back, basically the money you put in or the private money lender put in, and get you the same terms as you would as a purchase and renovation loan. If you want to talk about private lending in terms of true like private relationship type stuff, how to build those relationships, I can share stories with you on that. Again, set up a 15-minute appointment. We'll talk about, me myself, I'm a private investor, private lender. So I don't have an infinite amount of capital, but depending on the deal, just like David and his wife here, I'm willing to look at your deal and participate in some capacity if I can. If I don't do it, I'd have people around me. I just told you I have projects in New Jersey. We've done tens of millions of dollars of real estate ourselves, and I've raised a bunch of capital, and I have real relationships with people that have trusted me and that would potentially jump into a deal with you. But that being said, let me show you my screen, if that's okay by David and Katie Marie here. So let me show you the flyer that kind of outlines, in a nutshell, kind of our programs. And I'm happy to send this to you also. Just send me an email. I put my email address in there, my JDL Ventures email address. You can feel free to just send me an email saying you want to get a copy of this, you want to have a conversation. Again, you can do it however you want to do it. This is Builders Trust Capital. So I'm part of this real estate investment fund that lends capital directly. It's not a broker relationship. It's not a correspondent relationship. It's actually a true fund based out of South Jersey and Turnersville, New Jersey. I'm actually headed up there next week for a few days to talk with the guys and actually have a holiday party get together. But ultimately, in a nutshell, we lend, like I said, fix and flip, new construction. You can kind of read stuff here. A couple key points. We also have 30-year landlord programs. So these are really aggressive. Our rate floor is 3.5%. This is on LLC based, non-owner occupied. So someone recently asked me about owner occupied. Unfortunately, I can't do owner occupied. If you have a non-owner occupied landlord property, we could do it down to 3.5%. Your fees are going to range from 0.5 point up to 4 or 5 points, depending on your credit, and depending on which leverage you want. I can definitely do 80% on cash out in certain circumstances, although the average is 70 to 75. A lot of lenders are going to kind of just lead you on to think it's something, and then it's not what they said in the beginning. So more than likely, depending on your deal, it's going to be like 75 is the average is, I would say. And that's after a period of time of owning the property. There is no seasoning requirements with landlord loans, just so you know. However, the adjustment is on leverage and also on the value. So for example, a lot of my clients do BRRRR, right? And I'm doing a couple dozen of these right now. At any given time, I'm doing 20 to 30 of these loans, these 30-year loans. And a lot of them are doing BRRRR, right? Buy, renovate, rent, refi. By the way, if you find me online, you can probably get some free content about that concept as well. You look up my company on Facebook, you can kind of follow us and see, I talk about BRRRR model, and I'm sure David and his wife do the same kind of stuff in some capacity. But essentially, from a lending capacity, you're going to have two different loans. One is a buy and renovate. And then once you stabilize the property, or at least you're done with the renovations, you could technically actually refi it with unleased, meaning you don't have a tenant in place. So we could refi you out. It's just that the leverage is going to change a little bit. It's going to be dropped down by maybe 5%, 10%, depending on the deal. One thing I would say is that we are unique in the sense that our rates are competitive. They're not like any, not kind of like run of the mill, but not like the lowest you've ever seen. There are some lenders that say they can do 6.5%, 7%. I just want to point out that's typically on like 825 or better credit with like 100 deals under your belt. So more than likely the average borrower is going to land, brand new borrower is going to be down standard. But let's say you've done a handful of deals and your credit's above 720, your rate's going to be somewhere between 9 to 10% typically on the first loan we do. Your origination can be between 2 to 3 points. We can negotiate some of that. I don't make any more or less by the money we charge. I get paid when the deal closes, whatever the numbers are. So I am the advocate for you, right? I am your biggest fan. And so when you come to me and say, Doug, I got a loan, I want to get closed and I want to get these terms, how close can you get? I'm going to figure out how to get as close to that or better if I can. Today, for example, I had a borrower, a 30-year loan borrower. Originally, he priced out at 3.875 when the rate floor was 3.875. He wanted to get the lowest rate. Well, the rate floor dropped about 2-3 weeks ago or whatever it was, and we got down to 3.5. We didn't talk about it, but actually his credit wasn't exactly where he wanted to be when he priced the deal initially. So he was paying more in points. I got his permission and I actually had to run credit again for a reason. I'll leave off this meeting, but his credit bumped up from like wherever it was, like 40 or 50 points higher. So he bumped up multiple tiers. So actually the money costs less. He qualified for a higher leverage and actually his rate got down to 3.5. So, I guess what I'm saying is we're very common sense and very relationship based. If you can't tell by now, I'm all about relationships with people. So this is how we operate. That's what attracted me to work with this fund. I've been approached by different hard money lenders and private money groups that wanted me to work with them and bring business. And I've done some of that over the years because of my network. And I'm proud to say that, but I'm also humbled and honored to say that people thought enough to ask me to help them grow their business. But it was very informal. Only this past 6 months that I've been working with Builders Trust Capital, I've actually been a borrower of theirs for years. I've known these guys since like 6-7 years ago. And actually 2 of the partners, I'm going to leave some of this out, but 2 of the partners actually were in fix and flipping as well. And this when I was still wholesaling. And actually the deal that was the pivot for me to go from doing wholesaling part-time to actually going and leaving corporate America was a deal that I sold to the 2 guys that started this fund. So essentially they realized that, fix and flipping is cool, but actually lending capital and bringing their people that they know together into a fund is actually a lot easier and better for them than what they wanted to accomplish. And so coincidentally, time will tell over 5 years or so of time from the time I wholesaled it to them to when I actually worked with them as a part of the lending side. It's kind of weird how like at one point I was helping them buy deals to fix and flip, and now I'm actually helping them lend capital out. So it's kind of cool. The law of attraction, if you would, or bringing people together, it's going to take its course, right? It may not be right now, maybe over years or months, but point is, this is what we offer. A lot of numbers and letters. Like I said, the best way to contact me is actually not this phone. Okay. You can call this phone. It's going to go to my phone. But if you want my direct phone number, just hit me up on email and I'll give you my direct cell. We'll have a conversation. This is my office number, which does redirect to me. And I get those calls, but I'm just telling you, you can't text that number. So if you try texting, I'm not going to see it. A lot of people text about stuff. So the best way to send me a message, if you would, if you want to send an actual message on text, is going to be email, right? Douglas@builderstrustcapital.com. And if you have a deal, if you have a fix and flip, I need to know a few things. I need to know the value you think it's going to sell for, the ARV. I need to know the estimated renovation, just like, you guys, this is like back to basics. And I need to know what you're buying it for. I will look at a deal and tell you what it's going to look like if pricing it out based on those numbers. But I need to actually, in order for me to move forward, I need to know that you have it under contract. You need to evidence the contract. And then I got to get you a term sheet and I can get you actually a loan application. Once we have all that, we submit it into, we submit the fully signed and everything into processing. We order the appraisal, we order title, we order your credit, we get everything organized. And usually within a couple of weeks, if appraisals don't take too long, I tell people 2 to 3 days from the time we get an appraisal back, depending on, kind of how long that takes in your market. Some markets are taking 6 weeks. Sarasota is one of them. I've been waiting. I ordered an appraisal October 29th for a borrower that has 4 refis. He's in Sarasota. And it's not David, by the way. God bless David. We're hopefully going to do some business, but it's another guy. So it's taken us almost 6 weeks at this point to get the appraisal back, 4 appraisals, and I got 1 of the 4, to be fair. But the thing is, that's how crazy the market is and how bottlenecked appraisers are. So unfortunately, that's the reality we're facing. People always ask me, can we do deals without getting an appraisal? That's a very common question. The answer is not really, right? 30 years is not a negotiation. We can't do anything really on 30-year loans without getting an appraisal. We have to actually use what's called an appraisal management company, which is a centralized organization that coordinates many different appraisers and fits certain standards of appraising that they have to meet because it's a 30-year loan. It becomes a securitized mortgage, basically a part of a package. And essentially, we also have we don't have a flexibility on the credit minimum of 640. So unfortunately, if you're below 640, I can't do a refi on 30-year. I can't do a purchase on 30-year. On the short-term stuff, the appraisal is also a requirement. However, we're looking into some different things about maybe looking at like this hybrid appraisal stuff, maybe looking at BPOs. We haven't done a whole lot of that. We haven't done any of the hybrids. We might have done a couple of BPOs over the years, but the point is like, we're trying to create ways that we can get these things done faster. So we're building relationships with people that are appraisers. So if you have an appraiser, my need is actually if you're in a market, I can't necessarily use that appraiser, but if you know an appraiser, you want to give me a heads up. In Sarasota, I'm looking for one right now. So David, actually a question for you, man. If you have anybody down this way that I could potentially use, I have a couple of appraisers in this market that I need to get, a couple of appraisals I need to get that I can't get fast enough. And so
I do have a
AMC's
guy. I do have a guy for you. He's our close friend appraiser here, so I'll shoot his info right over to you.
So that would be cool. But the point is, we're direct, we're fast, we're flexible to some extent. If you have a deal that's unique, I'm doing a 13 unit. It's actually a fix and hold in Lake Placid, Florida. And that particular one, it's 2 parcels. It's like 5 on one and 4 duplexes on another. That particular borrower, basically, it's not a typical deal for us necessarily, but we're making it happen on the short-term basis. And then if he wants to do a refi, he may have to go and actually split them up. I'm not exactly sure, but we're going to find that out. We can do up to 29 units, including 29. Once we get to 30, it's a different asset. We can't do 30. Okay, 30 or above, we can't. And we can't do really apartment buildings that are above like 20 units, I would say. Anything that's 1 to 29, single family up to, like I said, the 29 units. And also we could do mixed use. So if you have like a storefront with like 2 or 3 apartments above it, we can fund those both short-term and long-term. And you can see the rates here. So any questions you guys have, again, we're running out of time pretty quickly. I don't mean to go so fast. You can see LTC. One more nugget I'll give you is that LTC is definitely different than LTV on fix and flip and on new construction. So what that means for you is that when someone says they're going to give you 75% loan to value, that's not the as-is value, that's the next value, the future value. So we'll go up to 90% on the cost of what you're paying for the property and what you're going to renovate the property for together, those 2 numbers on a preferred basis. And then we'll also build in, as you see here, interest payments can be built into the loan. I have many deals that end up between 93 to 97% loan to cost, the way I calculate it, because one in Fort Myers, for example, it's they're buying it for 100, they're putting in 125, 225 total cost. The loan amount was 216. That's like 96 point something percent. But the reason is because we're building an interest escrow in, meaning that we're going to allow you to finance your interest payments with our capital, basically, which is, yes, interest on top of interest. I get it. But are you going to fund it yourself? Do you want to bring in a private investor? What's it going to cost you anyway? Is it convenient if you have multiple projects going on? Maybe you have 5, 10, 20 projects going on and you don't want to worry about cash flow. You want to build in a full term of interest payments. Another one more nugget, I'm about to go after this one. Look up the concepts of Dutch versus non-Dutch interest. This is a concept that not many lenders are talking about, not many investors even know about. There are plenty of lenders that will charge you, without telling you otherwise, the full loan amount. If you have a $100,000 construction budget, a $50,000 construction budget, $1 million construction budget, they're going to charge you on all of that interest from day one without you drawing any money against the loan. And that doesn't make any sense because you're paying a ridiculous amount of interest on stuff you're not using. So just like new construction is non-Dutch. Fix and flip generally is non-Dutch, meaning that you only pay interest on the money that you're drawing against the loan. So if on day one you close, you only need 100 grand for the purchase money that you need, and you don't have any draws, you're going to get charged interest on 100 grand. You're not going to get charged interest on a 225 that the loan actually is. As you take draws, and we can talk about draws if you have questions when we talk, then you will start accruing interest that's bigger than the 100 grand that you originally got. So it's very logical, very common sense approach. It's not like, slimy, kind of sketchy, scammy type lenders. There's a lot of that out there. Another, announcement for you all is that if you're in Facebook groups, which obviously this is one, I guess, but I know the group is legit and David and his wife do a great job with it. Other groups out there, let's say there's some groups out there that are very scammy and spammy and they'll steal your money. Private lenders are notorious to say, I'm going to lend you 100% financing at 4% or less interest for 30 years or 20 years or some random, all kinds of stuff, open-ended everything, right? If you see stuff that sounds ridiculous, it probably isn't real. If they have a Gmail address, God bless Gmail and anyone that uses Gmail, but if they don't have an @ something, they're probably not legit. They might be an individual, but they should be using a professional email address, if you ask me. So don't fall prey, I should say, to people that are trying to take your application fee of $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 and then just run away. They're in another country. They're scamming people. It's a big problem. I don't know when it's going to be resolved, but it's a problem in the industry. So please don't fall for that. If you have a question about it, I'm happy to look at it and tell you what I think. I'm not here to just take everybody's deal and not leave anything out there. If there's somebody out there that can do it better, I'm happy to see how I can compete with that. So that's what I had to say. I appreciate you all. And with that being said, thank you, David and Katie Marie as well for the opportunity here.
So powerful, Doug. Thanks for being here. And just so you all know, and you can roll. I know you got to roll, Doug.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. David, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Have an awesome day.
Have a great night. Make sure you set up that meeting, guys. DouglasJBeck.com. Talk to y'all real soon.
Yeah, they're already chatting. They said several of them have scheduled consultations.
If you can't find time, just hit me up with an email. I can try to make something work. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug. That was great, man.
Bye-bye.
You all want to share a couple of powerful things before we close. Number one, Wow, was that awesome, you all? Come on, let me hear you in the chat box. Doug, he's a private money lender, you all. So like when he's talking about lending money, he's not talking about you like loans that you can't qualify for with banks and traditional mortgage products. This is private money, meaning they have a whole different set of rules. So maybe if you're not able to qualify on the traditional mortgage side, that's why you should check with Doug, because they might be able to get you the money that you're looking for to fund your deals. Secondly, as Doug mentioned, if you all haven't seen the announcements in the text messages and in the announcements in this group, our live event here at the #1 beach in the country, number 11 in the world, it was rated, Siesta Key Beach, is the end of next month. I know some of you are already registered and coming. We're so excited to see you. If you have not registered, you have a special link. Since you all are in our Kingdom Wealth community, here you have a special half-price tickets, and your ticket includes a free guest ticket. So make sure to check out the announcements. Email us if you have any questions at support@simplifiedinvesting.net. It's going to be super amazing. Click the link and see the speakers. Actually, we haven't even added all the speakers to the website on there. We just booked another guy. He did over $1 billion, you all, with a B. $1 billion in revenue in 1 year in his own real estate businesses that he created from scratch. He's going to be here speaking. Doug's actually going to be here attending the conference, our event. So you'll get to meet him in person, build that relationship. We've got another guy who's spoken in front of tens of thousands of people all over the world. He started from nothing. He's made millions of dollars. He's helped many people make millions of dollars in business, and he's got like $30 million with real estate. He's going to be here. You're going to have intimate access to the speakers. It's going to be a pretty small attendance of maybe around 100 people, probably. VIP dinner with us Friday night. We rented out the restaurant on the water. It's going to be last weekend of January. It's going to be cold in a lot of other places. It's going to be warm, tropical weather right here. Come see us, hang out, learn a lot. You're going to be excited you did. I wanted to say that. And also, the last thing I want to say in closing is, you all, we love this community, Kingdom Wealth through Real Estate. We're going to continue adding value in this free community. But as you already noticed, like we mentioned today, one of our students in our private coaching, they get intimate live access to us every week, multiple times a week. So we're able to help much more hands-on, even partnering in deals. We're even, here to help fund your deals, partner with you on deals and all of that. So if you want more information for free, no strings attached, I'm happy to hop on a Zoom with you one-on-one privately and discuss, let you know, inform you on the options of our private mentoring and coaching options that we can make available for you and to you in terms of how we can help you, teach you, train you, but also even partner with you and help, of course, use our money or money we have access to as well to fund your deals, but partner on the deals. Like we mentioned today, Alicia, her very first deal, you all, that's powerful, right? To be able to make six figures or multiple six figures on one deal that she sourced but needed funding, right? And so we were able to step in, provide the funding that was needed, as well as the help through the process of the deal as a partner. Now, if you want to know about how we can potentially partner with you on deals, how we can show you how to source deal, all the different things, right? Help you go from where you're at to where you want to be in an intimate way, real-time, live help, Q&A, showing you, helping you, analyzing deals with you. There's no strings attached. Email support@simplifiedinvesting.net and just request to book a just in the email to our admin. She'll get it that you want to book a time to find out more about the private mentoring and coaching options that Katie Marie and I provide through Simplified Investing. And you can literally, and you'll get an email with a link. Click on the link to book a Zoom meeting, and I'll show up live there on video with you. And Katie Marie will be with me too if she's available. To just find out more about you, your goals, and show you and explain to you clearly and answer your questions on how we can help you meet and exceed all your financial goals in the most efficient manner, quickly. And we're happy to help. We're thrilled to do it. We love this. We're getting to help be a part of helping people make their dreams come true every day. We're just freaked out excited about it because there's nothing more exciting to us than doing that. That's why we're in here in this free group, sharing. Not only sharing what we know how to help you with, but also bringing in other experts from our network of relationships we're building, like we did today with Doug, and more to come along the way, of course, to always just seek to serve, equip, empower you all to get just fully flung, if I can say that, catapulted into new realms of freedom and abundance, financial overflow. Love you all. God bless you. Have an amazing day. and engage in the group. Like Doug said, you all, there's like a lot of people in this community. You never know who might be the next person. You might post a deal you have in this group and have someone pop up and want to fund it or partner with you on it or vice versa or whatever. Like, just engage. Take a few minutes from time to time and post in this group and in this community. Comment on each other's posts, make connections, form conversations in this community. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to help with, be a part of, facilitate all of that. Have an amazing day. We'll see you next time.